right. Un message en français suivra après ce petit message en anglais. Hi everybody, welcome to Creative Mood. My name is Sacha Omer. I am the host of Creative Mood. It's a podcast where I sit down every week, every other week, and I discuss my guests' creative process and how it relates to their lives. Having said all that, I want to skip right forward and give you important information. Lorenzo Chapman is one of my best friends. I love this guy. He is more famously known as Devious, a popping, locking dancer from Pacoima, California. He is also the owner of the Great One-Eighters Youth Cultural Center. It's something he has started with his friends and family to help the community. He is someone I met in around 2009, 2010, and we have been friends since. Devious, as I just call him most of the time, has had a very peculiar childhood, a very intense upbringing. He has a story that I find infinitely inspiring, shocking, amazing, and beautiful. He is, to me, an embodiment of strength and resilience and kindness. I admire you, Lorenzo. And if I could have a podcast every week where we just spoke about your life, brother, I would do it. I love you. I am so grateful that you came to Montreal and that you took a moment to come and see me. I'm already looking forward to seeing you. I don't want to give away everything in the podcast, so I just want to say two things. Unfortunately, when we were recording, the video file corrupted, so the first half will be a still image of the conversation. The second half will have me and Devious. The second half also features our brother, MC Originate, who also knew that Devious was in town, so we linked up. Naturally, Originate is a collaborator of mine. He's been on the podcast as well many times. And since we've all known each other from back then, it goes without saying that I jumped on the opportunity to have the three of us sit together. Nate, just like Devious, is an enlightened person for whom I have infinite love, respect, and admiration. I could go on and on and on about how profoundly I love those guys. I won't. I think I've said it enough. I don't want to bore everybody. I'm going to switch back to French because my audience is mostly Francophone. But the interview is all in English. So if you don't want to listen to the French part because you don't speak French, it's all good. Just skip forward 2-3 minutes. Boom, pop. You'll be in the interview. If you want to support me, by all means, please follow, like, and subscribe the podcast on YouTube or follow me on Instagram. Thank you very much. Alors, back en français, guys. Je pense que la majorité d'entre vous ont compris ce que je voulais dire. Donc, mon épisode aujourd'hui, c'est un épisode vraiment personnel, c'est un épisode vraiment important. Je voulais vraiment vous partager la vie d'un artiste qui vient de Californie. Un gars, une personne que vous avez sûrement déjà entendu parler d'histoires vraiment fucked up comme ça. Genre dans les films, on glorifie beaucoup ça, le Cali, la violence, le gangbanging, tout ça, genre la danse. Mais genre lui, c'est ça son terrain fertile. Je l'ai rencontré en 2019, Lorenzo Chapman. Je veux juste vous le dire, là, pour ceux qui ne le connaissent pas, là, c'est vraiment un épisode important. Puis genre, je sais que souvent les gens écoutent juste des épisodes avec des gens qui connaissent, là, mais ça, c'en est un que vous voulez vraiment pas manquer. Sa vie à ce gars-là est vraiment inspirante. Je suis honoré que ce soit un de mes amis. Je suis touché infiniment. Je l'aime tellement. Il est venu à Montréal 30 secondes, j'ai réussi à le capter. Je lui ai dit, sais-tu quoi? On va faire un podcast, man. Je veux te présenter à mon audience. Je veux que les gens sachent qui tu es. Ce gars-là, c'est un big deal, c'est un danseur, il est connu partout dans le monde, il a voyagé partout dans le monde. Ensuite, il a décidé d'ouvrir un centre culturel pour la jeunesse, man. C'est un lutteur, man, il a gagné des prix en Californie, genre, il a fait tellement de choses, ce gars-là, dans sa vie. Je suis pas bon pour faire des intros, man, puis je suis excité parce que c'est quelqu'un que je connais, fait que je la fais mal. J'ai comme pas envie de vous perdre, genre, j'ai envie que vous restiez avec moi, genre. Juste, s'il vous plaît, man, faites-moi confiance. C'est une inspiration, ce gars-là. Je termine en disant que malheureusement, man, le fichier vidéo a corrompu la première moitié de notre entrevue. Fait que genre, il marche pas. Par contre, la deuxième moitié de l'entrevue, c'est un vidéo file qui marche au complet. Fait que pour ceux qui écoutent ça en vidéo, man, après l'intro, ça va être une image, puis après ça, ça va retourner genre à la vidéo. Fait que c'est pas un big deal, mais je voulais juste le dire pour pas qu'on me dise que genre l'image est le fichier. Et dernièrement, il y a mon frère Nathan, mon autre frère. Devious, c'est mon frère. Nathan, c'est mon autre frère. MC Originate, Nathan, qui est déjà venu au podcast, avec qui j'ai fait la chanson thème que vous écoutez, la chanson du thème du podcast là, que vous écoutez à chaque semaine. C'est ma chanson à moi puis à Nate. Nate, man, il a drop in. Puis on se connaît toutes les trois, man. Fait que je voulais comme... Ça tombait juste vraiment bien. C'est une conversation là, qui m'excite tellement. J'ai tellement hâte de vous la partager. Fait que anyways, I love you, Devious. I love you, Nate. Je vous aime, chers auditeurs. Je suis vraiment choyé de vous partager la vie de cet homme-là que j'adore, que vous allez tellement adorer. Vous allez voir, man, je vous promets une chose, vous avez jamais rencontré, entendu parler de quelqu'un comme Devious. Merci pour votre écoute. Je vous invite encore une fois, man, à aller nous follow sur YouTube, sur Spotify, sur Apple, peu importe où tu écoutes ça, man. Follow up, baby. Put this mic a little bit so I can see you.
There you go.
Devious.
My brother.
Lorenzo Chapman.
It was good. It was good.
I'm so fucking happy to see you.
No, same here, bro.
We were just like really holding it in before we start recording.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Man,
Yep.
I can't believe that I'm seeing you face to face.
I know, right?
It's been so long.
6, 7 years now?
I'm gonna say like at least 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Makes
How
no
time-
sense.
Yeah, how time works.
Lorenzo, I want to briefly introduce you.
Yeah.
I'll still make a video introduction,
Yeah.
but I want to know how you describe yourself. I always think you're a dancer,
Yeah,
you're a wrestler,
yeah,
you're an activist.
yep,
You're very much engaged with youth.
yeah, 100%.
How do you describe yourself?
Uh,
Because you've done so much.
yeah, that's a tough one, right? Like describing yourself. But yeah, I would say, simply put, I'm a world-renowned dancer, choreographer, but more importantly, I'm a director of a nonprofit and founder of the Great Winators in Awoke, which is a nonprofit out of California, where we create programs and events in marginalized communities and provide resources to those communities through art. So yeah, that's how I would describe like my profession, But outside of that, I'm a son, I'm
Yeah.
a brother,
A
I'm
friend.
a friend, and yeah, man, that's how I would describe myself.
Amazing. It's
Yeah.
you're one of those people to me, man, that I was telling people this week that I was going to see you.
Yeah,
This weekend rather, whatever. And it's hard for me to describe my relationship with you because our relationship is one thing, but what I think of you is another thing entirely. It's really a privilege to be able to look someone that you love in the eyes that are still here,
yep,
to say how much you inspire me and how much respect and love and admiration I have for you.
man, and likewise, man. First of all, thank you, man. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but for sure, you're someone that is very significant in my life. I was kind of explaining to you off camera, what I tell people about Montreal and what it's done for me in my life. And outside of the dance aspect, you're someone who's great, hugely responsible for me even being able to stay here as many times and come here as many times as I did, which helped me a lot, right? And I know we have our stories of how I helped you, and
100%.
we'll probably get into that. But just thank you so much for opening your home and your doors, and just all the late night conversations we would have, and all the times we're picking each other's brains and just building with each other. And I was it was a very pivotal time in my life, right? Like coming into adulthood and figuring out what I'm doing now and getting to this place now. But again, thank you, because Montreal and yourself really helped with that. So appreciate it.
I'm happy to hear you say it, man.
Yeah.
It's so reciprocal. I think that's what makes these kinds of friendships that we have so special.
Yeah.
When it's so reciprocal, and
100%.
I was telling my girlfriend about who you are,
Yeah.
and it almost sounds fake.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, 100%.
It almost sounds like, who does he think he is?
Yeah.
Making up shit about his friends.
Yeah. Like this guy ain't real.
Yeah. It's it's hard to believe, man. Like, but it's also very empowering when you progress in life.
Yeah.
And in your heart, you carry special people.
Yep.
Because that's strength.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly, it's not even like a direct thought of like, oh, I'm not doing good, but like I have friends like Devious.
Yeah.
But it's just more like, I'm not doing good, but I have amazing things in my life. I have strength. I can keep going.
Yeah.
To me, that's how this strength manifests.
Yeah.
And
it's a reflection of your character as well, because when you're grounded and you have the character that you have, or myself, you build these genuine friendships and relationships with people that last a lifetime. And regardless if we're able to see each other all the time or not, these relationships and friendships were built with no ulterior motives,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We live in a world where it's like, what can you do for me?
Hustle culture.
100%, right?
Yeah.
And our friendship was built off of the opposite of that, right?
100%, man. For me is like, I have never met a human being like you.
Yeah.
It was just like, who is this guy?
Yep. Yeah, I was 18, 19 years old when I met you. I'm 32 now.
I'm 35.
And I think when we met each other too was us on our way to
becoming.
To becoming, exactly,
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it was crazy. You guys were like rock stars out here.
Yeah.
And I remember being
so funny to think about that.
Showing up, and you guys, with your swag, just like, man, what's up, man?
What's
Who
good?
are you? Yeah, like,
Devious.
I'm from LA. Like,
all right.
all right. And then getting down, dancing.
That blew my mind to see such a big guy move the way you did.
Everyone in Montreal was like, whoa, this guy could move.
Yes.
Okay, it was a lot more heavy set too back then.
That's right.
And but yeah, man, like you guys are always very good vibes, and that's something about. And I say Montreal, but I'm saying the people I met in my group, right? Because
sure, of course,
the people that I interacted with, like, so welcoming and so inviting. A lot of times when you have conversations with people or building with people, the way we started, you could tell they're waiting to talk. They're not listening.
Yeah. Sure.
It's just like it becomes like a brag contest. Like they hear something, then they want to say something to kind of outdo you. And with you guys and certain people that I still talk to this day, it was always like really us listening, absorbing what's being said, and
genuinely curious.
Exactly,
of course, interested,
and being able to help each other in whatever way, whether we know it or not. And that's what I think why we've been friends now for a decade.
It's
plus.
I agree, but it's like we were talking about this a bit off camera, but for me, I'm worldly.
Yeah,
I've lived in different places. I'm of mixed heritage.
Correct.
The francophone whiteness prevalent here is not me. So meeting people like yourself, we already start on a +1.
Yeah.
We already start on a more communal footing. And so your worldliness, for myself, I know that that's how I connected with you. I'm like, this guy has traveled places, the way he speaks, the way he carries himself, his ideas, his words. And that's just the base.
Yeah.
You know? And that made me feel like, well, I must be doing something good if I'm around people like that. You know?
Yeah.
What I would like to do today,
Yeah.
if and I didn't actually tell you this on off camera.
Yeah.
I think you have a really intense story,
Yeah.
and I think it would be to everyone's benefit if you would be so kind as to agree to take us back there. I would like
yeah,
to
for sure.
tell people your story because I believe that that's what's going to put everything that you do into context.
100%.
And in any case, I want to know because I don't know everything about you.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. Like, I want to make it like stupid dumb.
Yeah.
You know, like, where are you from?
Yeah. So I'm from Pacoima, California, right? Pacoima is a suburb outside of Los Angeles, but the thing is, people sometimes confuse that word, right? Suburb isn't like,
Yeah, it's not.
especially in Southern California or across California. Not all suburbs are equal, you know.
Right.
It just that's the I guess proper title of where the area is at. But more importantly, it was Pacoima is and started off as one of the first places in that part of Los Angeles or Los Angeles County that colored people, black and brown people could buy homes, right? So it has a huge immigrant population, a huge, Black American population. That's like just to give you the baseline of where I'm from.
Yeah.
Pacoima is also one of the highest crime rates, gang violence in the U.S. Which is unfortunate, and it's an unfortunate reality of areas like that due to, again, just kind of how things are in the United States in terms of where they place us, how certain things, whether we're consuming it, via, television, social media, kind of places, these different ethnicities against each other to think that we are the enemy, right? And that's what kind of cultivates that environment. It's not that it's necessarily the people, it's just the circumstances that really make it like that. It's a beautiful place. So much history, so much culture in Pacoima. So that's where I'm from.
What's the heritage of your two parents?
Costa Rican and Mexican.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm definitely Latino. I identify as Chicano, right? And Chicano, as I describe where I'm from and what I do, I'll explain what that really means.
Yes,
'Cause I know a
please.
lot of people are confused about what Chicano means.
Yes.
And so yeah, from there, born of parents who are immigrants to the country. I'm first generation.
You and your brother.
Me and my brother. I got 4 siblings. It's me and my brother, and then my 2 younger sisters. But there's a big age gap between the boys and the girls. It's 2 boys, 2 girls.
Gotcha.
Born born to parents who immigrated here to the U.S. Teenage parents at that. 15, 16 years old.
Really?
When they had me, and then my brother came not even a year later. Me and my brother we call it Mexican twins. We're the same age for like a month and a half, a month and some change. Mexican twins.
Wow.
Yeah, my
bro.
parents always say we didn't have TV. So so I've it's like we're twins. Like I've never known life without him. Because
Right.
I wasn't even one. He was already around me. I always give him a hard time about that. I'm like, man, you couldn't even give me time of myself.
That's right. How dare he?
Exactly. Exactly. But it's important because that me and him have always been together. So we've experienced everything with each other.
I never thought about what you just said in that way. That's profound.
Yeah. And I'm very fortunate for that, because the type of life I've lived in, the environment I lived in, it's a jungle. It's very rough. It's very hard, and to do that by yourself, of course you got parents, or you could have an uncle or someone in your family, but there's usually that age gap, and they're not necessarily experiencing what your generation's experiencing.
They're not hanging out with you in that way.
Yeah, right. You'll see them at home, but they're not walking the streets, going to school with you, that was always, I always had my partner in crime to lean on, right? Like,
Right.
for lack of a better terms, right? Yeah, crime. So yeah, but what was interesting was, my dad was a b-boy, or some know as breakdancing. He was very involved in hip hop culture, but due to the climate of how hip hop kind of got stigmatized into being this like negative thing, it became, for those who know the history of it, or sorry, for those who don't know, there was a time where so many people were doing it of color, black, brown. When I say black and brown, that I'm describing, Nigerian, all parts of Africa, all parts of Latin America, Middle East. You had so many people who, didn't fit what the good old American boy look,
Yeah.
were doing it. So it intimidated people. And they started making it like illegal they called it loitering, So that's how a lot of
Right.
these kids started getting in trouble. And for those who are born who are children of immigrants, when they come to countries like maybe even Canada or US, the last thing they want is for their kid to get in trouble.
Sure.
I didn't come to this
Sure.
country,
You're right.
So I didn't come to this country for you to get arrested, and well, don't do that thing on TV. They're making it seem like a negative thing. So, my dad, my mom were involved in hip hop. They were there for the golden, not the golden era, but when it was really being done, and created. But then because of that, they started stopping a lot of this, thing, breaking, the DJing, the beatboxing, all that stuff. The police would stop them and arrest them and do things like that. So that's really where a lot of people in Los Angeles started pivoting to the gangs, right? Because they already had these crews, they already had these social groups, and now they took away their art, right? They took away their outlet, right? Especially in that area, not everyone could afford to do summer baseball, could afford to do summer soccer. Their parents couldn't
Most
pay
people
for those
can't.
things, right? Exactly. So that's when they really transitioned into the gangs, because now these young, people.
Both of your parents.
Yeah, both of my parents, and also it's especially on my mom's side, and I'm very open with this. I come from a family of addicts and gangbangers. Like it's it's a reality of the life. Me and my siblings, especially me and my brother, were raised in. And so they started getting into the gang life, and not being so productive. But fortunately enough, they met each other, and I feel like they came from such extreme upbringings, my mom and my dad, that when they met each other, they realized that's not what they wanted for their kids, right? They realized, like, regardless of what we should be, we're not going to allow those circumstances to define us, and we're gonna try to do better for our kids, right? Because my mom and dad both. Our stories, man, it's crazy, but what they went through, my mom and dad, it's a whole nother. That's a whole nother episode,
Well,
right?
one day I want to do that episode.
Yeah,
Please.
man.
I would love to know.
100%.
Okay.
Because then it really, makes more sense of how, why we
I
are the way we
understand.
are. So, yeah, they met each other. They right away had me, and my dad put all the gang banging stuff to the side, and he, there's a big story that, like, I was always being told as I was being raised, because he still had the same friends, and they would always say, like, man, we remember when your dad came to the neighborhood and told everybody, like, yo, whether you guys want to jump me out, whatever you guys want to do, you guys gonna have to do it, because I can't be around that much anymore, because I'm gonna help. I'm gonna be a father to my son. I'm gonna be there for him, in the way that my dad wasn't there for me. And yeah, like, he became like a hood hero. Like, everyone always made sure to brag about
He
my
stood
dad.
up to it.
He stood up to it, and they gave him even more respect, because he was one of the more active gangbangers, in his neighborhood. So,
It's also tied to how you got your name.
100%.
Please tell me.
Yeah.
Tell us.
My dad's the one that named me that. My dad's the one that named me Devious, right? A lot of people hear Devious and they're like, that's another interesting thing, right? Meeting people like, Devious, huh?
Devious, yes.
That's your name, But it was rude. My dad did it, I think, because he saw what it meant, but it was more so how was within like the battle hip hop culture and like
Mm-hmm.
how also I was as a dancer, and he kind of flipped it and like where instead of me being evil and like having bad intentions and people not expecting it, it was like so many people expect evil and bad intentions from me,
Right.
and I come with this positivity and
Mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
movement or whatever it is, and I surprise the hell out of anyone, like whether it's and what I do as a person or
I
my
confirm.
art.
I confirm.
Everyone's always shocked. So he was just like, I think Devious like fits you. And he,
Mm.
he gave me that name. So
When did you
yeah.
start dancing? He showed you really young because
Oh
he was
yeah,
always dancing.
yes,
So
right.
this is like not something it's like something you always did?
Yeah, so that was again from that, having teenage parents. I always tell my mom this too. Like, parents always like, I know everything about you. I raised you. And I'm like, well, I grew up with you. So I know everything about you.
Right.
Like like you were like a 30-year-old woman already without like most of your life experiences I experienced. So I say that
Right.
to say like they were still, my dad was still doing his thing,
Yeah, they had you
dancing.
young.
Exactly. My mom was, they were teenagers. So, think about it, like 15, 16. By the time they were
I can't.
22, I'm
I
like
can't.
7 years old,
Yeah, that's
So,
crazy.
so I, and not only did he dance, right, but we were surrounded by pioneers of the art form, right? Like, now it's like, yeah, okay, my dad played soccer. It's like, no, but I'm hanging out with the world champions of it, like people who are going in the Hall of Fame, for it.
Right.
So,
Right.
like, as I got older, I realized that,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like, going to barbecues and kickbacks and, backyard boogies, and I'm seeing people who, like, are the ones responsible for this being a worldwide art form, like
Yeah.
just dancing and doing their thing at such a high level. And for me, it was like, oh, that's what every,
Yeah, that's every family's got this thing.
yeah, right. Like every
Yeah.
little Mexican boy, little Latino does this, right? Like, because of course you think your world is the only one. You don't realize that there's this big one outside of your bubble.
Of course.
So yeah, we started very young.
And I know that something happened to your dad.
Yes, yes. So you grow up. He was very smart with how he had us, participate in it. He never forced us. Right, a lot of people.
He knew.
He knew that he was
Of
very smart
course.
with that. Like he just kept us around it and would wait for us to ask to do it. So, yeah, that's just how we continued to grow in it. And he always would watch us practice. Always would take us anywhere we'd want to go for that. But he would, like, if we wanted to go somewhere, he would be like, "Hey, you guys have to practice. We can't just go to go. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
guys are gonna have to train hard for it. Like, so because this was starting to reemerge because it kind of died out. The art form and the culture kind of died out, and it was making a comeback while we were getting older, So
Okay.
there started becoming more events, more things, right? And as this thing started really taking off, my dad unfortunately he got sick and he went into a coma unexpectedly, right? I'm actually the age. I'm turning 33. That's the age he passed away, which also is kind of trippy for me. That, like, because I still feel so young, and I'm like, wow, like I'm about to be the age my dad was when he passed away, right?
Wow.
So yeah, we up to, at 15 years old now. He was truck driving. He just came back from North Carolina, and this also ties into the wrestling thing, right? Like, it was my first day of wrestling practice. Like, it was I remember he just came. I haven't seen him for maybe like a month. He was right there. It was like 6 in the morning, and I was going to the wrestling practice, and he was like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "Oh, wrestling." And he was like, "Wrestling? What the heck? Like, when did this start happening?" And I'm like, "It's the first day. I'm gonna try it out." And then he was like, "All right, well, I'll see you when you come back." And then went to wrestling practice, came back, and then it was around Thanksgiving time. which is a holiday in the U.S. A
Yeah,
fucking
of course.
bullshit ass holiday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Fucking not so much of a celebratory thing, but
Say no more.
yeah, yeah. And all the families together, and I remember coming out of the room and seeing my mom holding him, and he ended up going into a coma, and he had a brain aneurysm. It was again unexpected. The doctors had no idea what was happening, how it happened. It was like a freak accident, not even an accident. I don't even know how to describe it. Like they had no answers for us. So
Hmm.
that happened. He was in the hospital for around 2 weeks, in a coma, and they were
Wow.
trying to, see what they could do to bring him back. Which, again, you want hospital doctors to do anything to help your family member, but it's also very traumatizing to see someone in that state every day. That one day they're completely fine, and the next day you can't. There's nothing there. It's just a
Yeah.
body, right? Um, and death isn't easy, um, but sometimes people are prepared for it to happen, right? When someone gets sick and
It's a
like
little drawn out.
exactly, it starts coming. Of course, it's hard regardless. There's no better way. But when it's unexpected, it's like we went from being a family, being the example in our neighborhood and community of like most of my friends didn't have a father growing up, and if they did, or the father was around, like he was abusive, all these different things, or it was the mother that was that way. I had a mother and father who were very in our lives, very good to us, doing everything they can for us. So everyone, all my friend group, everyone that I ever grew up with, my teachers, so many people always were like, man, you have amazing parents.
You
Like,
guys lucked out.
yeah, and my mom and dad always took care of other people's kids. They always did that. My dad was the one who drove everyone around. My mom was the one, if a kid came and he didn't have food because his mom was out doing crack, or doing whatever she was doing, or the dad was in jail and the mom don't have money, my mom was cooking dinner, for them and feeding them or sending them with food to their house, like
Hmm.
giving them clothes, like always doing that, like because yeah, like so being that type of family, having dinner every night together, things that my friends wish that they had, and me never even knowing what it was like to not have that, to literally the next day it being gone,
Hmm.
forever. And it had a huge impact, in a negative way in the beginning in mine and my brother's life, because this whole time my dad, the force field of all this negativity surrounding us, with including family, and including the block that we're on, the school that we go to, and what's there, is gone now. So all this negativity and these things that he's kind of we've seen, we've experienced, but he's sheltered us a bit. Our
Hmm.
parents, if
He's netting it off.
exactly,
Yeah.
people knew not to fuck with him and his kids and his
Hmm.
family. Of course, I grew up seeing domestic violence, but outside of my home. I grew up seeing crazy drug abuse outside of my home, and it was always, we came back home and we talked about it. Like my dad would always say, how do you feel when you seen that?
Really?
He would always do that. Because him and my mom were taught, your kids, you don't have an opinion. What do you know? Like, you
Right.
didn't see nothing, and that's what continues that
That
trauma,
cycle.
that cycle, exactly. So, again, I say that to say, like, of course, I seen it, I experienced it, but never to the level of what was about to happen, because we were always busy either doing sports or dance, and yeah, so he passes away, unfortunately, December 5th, and it was almost like instant. I remember maybe 3-4 days of after he passed away, I seen my first 8 ball of cocaine. Like just right there in my face. Like, and it was one of my uncles. Just everyone was depressed because he was the matriarch. He was the person that everyone came to. He was the person with the answers. All that stuff. And I think about my age now. I'm like, God damn! Like,
Hmm.
he was fucking young, and a lot of people depended on him. And so yeah, like, seeing that, and then me and my brother started rebelling and acting, kind of
Reacting to his
reacting
death.
to his death, because
For
now,
sure.
and I was actually talking about this this morning with a friend, because he was always there for us when we did our positive things, right? Like the dancing and the sports. Me and my brother felt guilty to continue to do it without him, right? Like if we tried to dance, it was like, damn, like what happens when something like that happens to you in your life, something that traumatic with someone you love, is you almost feel guilty for being happy after. Like
survivor's remorse.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You're like that's selfish of me.
Yeah,
All right, we're back with a +1.
Yo,
Yeah.
originate in the building.
Yup.
Oh man, this is I have to tell everybody. I mean, people that have been listening to my show, they know who Nate is, but I haven't
what's
seen
up?
Nate in like a year and a half, and I haven't. We
I've
were
reunited the forces.
100%. Are we starting like a band? Is this what we're doing?
I think
Yeah,
so.
that's it.
I think so. I
see
don't know
some
what I'm gonna
instruments.
do in the band, but I'm there.
Oh, guys.
Hell yeah, man.
It's a little bit
Did you
crazy.
ever hear? You've heard most of his story, I suppose, but like, because I think it's so important that he tells his story to the people who are listening, because the people who listen to my show don't have no clue about the type of realities that exist.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a hard one too.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
You know-
I knew, but not, details and stuff.
Yeah.
Lorenzo, we all know him as Devious.
Yeah.
He a big guy, so in types of person, he does a lot. He helps a lot of people.
put it a little closer to you.
So by helping, a lot of people and just being everywhere, you look at him and you don't really ask him questions. You just look and follow, right? Kind of like a natural born leader. But you know deep down that this guy's been through some shit, kind of thing. So
Yeah, it does
but
transpire when we look
do
at
sit
you.
down and talk, you kind of feel like you've been through nothing. When you hear these kind of stories, you're
Yeah.
like, wow, my life has been easy,
Yeah, but that's, you see, Nate, like for me, we are so easygoing. Like we're so good in Montreal, in Quebec, Like life is so easy in that sense that like not sometimes, but often, the way people talk some shit, it's like, yo, some of y'all are ungrateful here. And that's why I wanted that's why I want Lorenzo to speak on his childhood, because it's gonna educate some people onto a reality they're unaware of. And we're obviously not gonna this is not like a deep dive into Lorenzo Chapman, a history.
Yeah.
But just rather like
The biography.
yes, chapter 1. But rather just to say that like where you're from. So if you don't mind, Nate, we're gonna finish this podcast in a few minutes, and I just want to end on like let Devious just finish a bit of his story of his upbringing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I want to say to what you guys were saying, like
Keep going.
as of like the upbringing that I had and what I've been through, I just realized that it's perspective, and whatever you're going through, like I don't ever look at someone who went through less and go, you had it easy, because
That's not right.
them losing their dog or their cat, could be just as devastating as me losing my father.
Sure.
And it's not that I'm comparing an animal to my father. It's just that is still hardship, right? And I never, because that happens sometimes too. And that's the mentality that our people, when I say our people, I mean people who go through, live in similar neighborhoods that I live in, similar upbringings that I have, is that victim mentality. Poor me, man. I have the hardest life, and they never get out of it. So I'm always constantly teaching that to younger people, that like don't look at yourself as a victim. Don't look at yourself like, poor me, man. I've been through worse. People don't know what it's like. Understand that people can relate regardless if they've been through the same extreme or not. People could relate if you have a positive outlook and you're looking for solutions and not problems. Because kind of how I was explaining what happened with my dad, and again, him passing and all these things coming crashing down. If it wasn't for wrestling and dance. I always say wrestling and that sport gave me discipline and structure, and dance and art gave me expression. And and I wouldn't be as balanced of a person if it wasn't for those two things. So, and that's where because of that, I got to meet people like you guys. But if I would have stayed and thinking like, man, like I've had a fucking pretty crazy life, and poor me, and you know what? Let me just hit the fucking bottle. Let me just do these drugs. Let me gang bang. Let me do what a lot of other people who've been through what I've been through are doing.
You told me that some of the people in your neighborhood who were doing bad things, they kind of, I don't want to, maybe it's not the right word, but they let you off the hook, you and your brother.
Oh yeah,
Can you tell us about that, please?
Because my dad's reputation, like everyone knew. As I was explaining, my dad's a hood hero. Like everyone knew of him, how we were as a family. So when me and my brother strayed to a little to the right when we was headed to the left, and we started we dropped out of school, we started ditching, we started hanging out with the different crowd of people that my dad kind of always shied us away from. And then a lot of people from the hood would always be like, man, like you guys are you guys are talented. What the fuck you guys doing, And so, they never let us get too deep into it. And also my uncles, who are also notorious gangbangers in the area too, they knew that like my dad left such a strong imprint in the community that people were almost still afraid of him, even though he was gone. That's how I describe it. Like people were just like that, like they just still didn't want to really mess with him, even though he was gone. But yeah, so that they never allowed us to get too deep into it. And then if it wasn't for a wrestling coach by the name of John Paez, I probably would have, regardless, went down that route. And my brother, we were ditching school one day, and we were at the house smoking weed, just fucking. It was like our house became like the kickback spot. Everyone came to ditch and chill and party. The dojo. Nate knows what's up.
We've been there.
Yeah. Which the dojo went from being this place of, not doing so good things to very positive place that got us to this point now, But yeah, he came to the door, knocked on the door, opened it, fucking got hit with all this smoke. And he was just like, he's like, come out here. And I was like, didn't want to. And he grabbed me, he pulled me out the house. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And like, your mom told me you haven't been going to school, this X, Y, and Z, you have a gift, don't throw it away. Nothing worse than someone with potential that, doesn't practice it, doesn't, go after it, so that really, snapped me back into reality. And I realized I've always had this ability to lead, kind of like how Nate said, like for some reason people listen and follow me. So I like, that's another thing he told me. He's like, look at how many people you have in this house right now. And it was like 15, 16 people. And he's like, now imagine if you did something positive, and I was like, shit, he's like, and your little brother's in there, huh? And I'm like, yeah, and I was like, fuck, that really left an impact in me, in my life, where I was just like, whether you recognize it or not, sometimes you do got to listen to other people and when they tell you what your gift is. Of course, it takes you to recognize it and realize it. But that moment was that, and I started going back to school and doing all that, and I got all the way to being able to wrestle in college and coming out in TVs and movies and doing things like that with my art, and then also accomplishing a lot with my wrestling and grappling and stuff like that.
Let's list off, because we have to wrap it up eventually. So I'm gonna just sort of go in and let's list off some of the countries you visited, please.
Oh man,
please.
I've been to every continent. I've been to I think it's around like 34 countries.
And what do you do in those countries when you go there?
Get down like James Brown.
So we could say just like that's showcase. It. You've traveled the world dancing.
Yes, and
more than once.
100%, and I've done it as a Chicano. I've done it as what statistics say is supposed to be dead or in jail. you know, and I do that, and I represent the city of Pacoima. I represent the Great Winators every single time, and I represent people who want to make a difference with their art, not just make a difference in their community with their art, not just a difference in their pocket, you know,
Beautiful.
straight up.
And you've done things in wrestling as well. I'm sure you've won some titles, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
yes.
Tell
So
us,
I do
please.
wrestling and jiu-jitsu. You know, my boy here's grappled with me a couple times. He's a strong man. He's a strong man.
You don't want to mess with these guys. It's family.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I've been blessed to be able to accomplish a lot with it, as well as jiu-jitsu. I'm now a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, which, you know, it goes white, blue, purple, brown, black. But what I'm even more proud of is my coaching accomplishments,
Tell
because
us about that.
I became a coach, and it was all because of my sister Emily. You know, my sister Emily, who's also very rebellious, very she does her own thing. You know, yeah, she decided to wrestle while I was traveling, and then I heard this, and I was like, she went to a school that wasn't known for it. You know, they didn't really have a team. She fucking started the team and all these different things, and then I was like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? You know, like. You can't do it. Like you know, you have to. You're gonna be too much pressure on you because of the name and because of our family. We became a wrestling family, and then she just still was doing it. And then I went. I seen how serious she was about it, and I was like, you know what? If you're going to take it serious, I will stop traveling. I will stop doing these things, and I'll start coaching you. And that
Wow.
year, she won the LA City Championships. She became one of the best in the state of California, which is a big deal in the U.S. Because California is like
yeah.
is the premier state for for that sport. She got to go to college and wrestle a bit herself, and then the youngest came, and she didn't have a choice. She had
She got into it.
Emily had the choice. Leanne didn't have a choice.
There
And
you
then
go.
I became a coach, and then all the way to coach the first ever state championship team for the city of Los Angeles, for the sport, and have had multiple. Multiple wrestlers get full scholarships. Now some of them graduating this year, like, from college, which is also trippy to me. Where I'm like, I I have like college graduates, firefighters, police officers who I coached. You know, and they're like, it's because of
Of you.
what me and the Great Winators do.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, damn, like they're aging me in a bit. You know, I'm like, damn, I'm old. Like
Uncle Devious.
yeah, that's how it is. You know, like they're
Uncle.
coming. Like
Yeah.
these are productive members of society. You know, people making a difference in their community, and from a community that's not so common. You know.
What's you'll attest to this, Nate. You know what's really sort of inspiring is that okay, you know, you come from a rough background, but like surviving and not dying and not being a shitty person is quite an accomplishment. And then imagine becoming like a wrestling champion. And imagine not being satisfied with that. You go and you become a world famous dancer and you travel the world. And imagine that's not enough. So you're like, I'm going to open a youth community center.
Yep.
I'm going to start coaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Lorenzo, that's why I wanted to talk about all this,
Yeah.
because it's not a lot of other things matter in life aside from just recognizing your the purpose in your life, man. It is shocking to me. My girlfriend tells me things. She's like, wow, your purpose and your story is fucked up, Sasha. It's very inspiring. And I'm like, well, thank you.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about you.
Oh man.
Do you know what I mean, Nate?
Absolutely.
Shit.
I was gonna say, it's one thing to have a hard background and to go through a lot of hardship, but to make it out with sanitude, like you said, which is being a good person, that's what sets you apart, and that's what's actually a tool used in everything you do when you teach it back to people. They don't just see what you teach them, they also see who you are as a person, and that makes the difference. And that's why people magnetize around Devious, Lorenzo, because he will give off that energy. When we've done some things, dance choreographies, or just hang out, or whenever Lorenzo sets his mind to something, he will get shit done, and it's really fascinating to see. And that's what's beautiful about things. It's just like right now with the company that I own with my team and stuff. I'm lucky to have a team that's at the same level in their minds. Let's just do our best, kind of thing. And it's always nice to see people doing their best. So
100%.
definitely, and he's not alone. He comes with a whole family, community, and a lot of people that are just there to help, just to be there. To me, now that I have my son now, a year and a half, like I get it a little bit more now. Like these guys are securing our children. You know what I mean? They're making sure that our children are not doing stupid things with their extra energy. He was saying all this. At one point, we just got to do things. Just like how he inspired all of us. He's doing all these things. You can see these kids that have that energy before doing all these things. They're usually looking for trouble or just
as you
ganging up
said,
in
just they
parks
have
doing
extra
nothing.
energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when they meet people that been through some stuff like that and have a good reaction and a good output and
It
nice
forces
stories to
respect.
say, exactly. And that respect is the strongest to me.
100%.
Because it's based on positive livings and experiences. So straight up, it's how he made it out. And that's how we connected, like glue, where I'm from, I didn't have no gunshots at the corner of my streets as often. We don't have that shit 15 times a day.
Yeah, it's
We
not
don't
like
have
that here.
I couldn't walk around in his neighborhood. I had to wait for his family to accompany me because I'm not of I'm
That's
my
what I was
culture,
telling my
we don't-
girl the other
you know what I
day.
mean? We don't live around that area. So
boy's been there.
If
My
I'm
boy's-
walking around the Latinos, and I'm tough here in
Yeah,
Montreal.
He's
Don't look at me.
It's like what they say, like he's in toughness scale, he's a Montreal 10.
You know what I mean?
But he's an LA 2.
And I go over there, and I don't even bother to look at people in the eyes for more than half a sec, bro. I don't want to bother your energy. Like I'm here doing my shit. I know I don't belong here. And like it's gated. When you're outside, you gotta chill in the backyard, dude. Like you can't chill in the front. There's all these things that I learned that wasn't my environment, but what he'd been through with his father and his family and his emotional child trauma, I've been through some of that shit too. So when we were together, without really talking about all that, we were just close together.
The energy was there.
I didn't have that parental, support that. Or I did, but it was different in my house. It was different in his house. We had more of a survival kind of love. I didn't have no affection. I didn't have no physical material. I had to just figure shit out with my body. So therefore dancing and all that. So we connected on that aspect. All around the world, the hoods are different, but all these kids are the same. Everybody's, broken down houses and stuff. So we got to talk about all this. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like we have to.
For sure.
And that's right back to what I was saying. Like now, imagine if 'cause I want to say two things or a couple of things. Just imagine if I would have came and like met you guys and I tried not to relate because I knew how much different or how much quote unquote harder life was for me.
Yeah.
But instantly when I met Nate and his family and I started talking, I was like, man, you're like me. You're like a version of me, but here.
Yeah.
And that's what tends to happen for kids like myself in the communities that, are like Pacoima is we're made to feel that we're alone and vulnerable. So we're always defensive and we're always on attack mode. And this is why like Montreal changed my life. Montreal and the people like you guys changed my life. And it allowed me to be okay with being vulnerable. It allowed me to be okay with being happy and understanding that like there is other people out there in the world like me who understand me because I'm constantly being made to feel like no one can understand me, that I'm different and that I come from this jungle or this concrete jungle of just violence and drugs and negativity, and the rest of the world is beautiful, but not where I'm from. And then, meeting people and you guys being like, damn, you're fucking dope, bro. Like, damn, oh man, like that's like, and I'm like, what? Like,
it's really sort of a testament to the simple truth that love heals.
oh yeah.
You meet people and you're like, wow, I love them and they love me. And just being around them makes me realize that, like, although we're different, we are so similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think your story, our stories are beautiful,
100%.
I grew up with a mom that would do cocaine and drink in the house, not come home for days.
Yeah.
And no matter what, big or hardships, small or big hardships, you know, it comes down to a decision of like, I want to be happy, you know, and that's a
on you.
strong,
We can make that happen
Yeah.
for
Yep.
ourselves.
yeah.
You're in control of it.
Gentlemen, I think we could go on forever, but I don't want to rush my like computer and my camera, all that jazz.
But before we end,
Yes.
I want to make a donation to my boy for his podcast. Y'all, and
Hey.
dig into your pockets.
That's right.
Support my boy right here, man. Always been doing positive things. Always creating beautiful art, whether it's visual, whether it's audio, music, so many different mediums of art, and such a creative person. And
Thanks,
he's the
brother.
type of person that, again, like, don't wait until he's gone to appreciate his genius. So yeah.
I love you, man. I love the sound.
Like, there you go.
Oh, wow. You know what? There you
sir.
go. It takes someone from California to give me $100 Canadian. So please dig into your pockets. I have a GoFundMe. It's in the link in my bio. You want some more of these? You know what to do. Gentlemen, I love
Hell
you
yeah.
so,
Love you
so,
too, brother.
so much.
Love you, bro.
Let's close this shit and go talk some shit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Told you so. written in the sky. We just gotta read it.